The ethics of language, inviting reflection on words as tools of thought. Introduction. If we consider language as foundational to understanding, we might ask, how do our words act as lenses? Rather than neutral tools, words appear to mediate perception, anchor symbols, and shape patterns of thought. Could it be that every choice of word is also a choice in how people interpret, feel, and orient themselves in the world? In institutions such as churches, schools, and political systems, we might notice that words carry authority beyond their literal meaning. What happens when words are delivered without exploration or context? How might ethical responsibility extend not only to what is said, but also to the spaces in which those words are received? Could attention to these dynamics allow us to cultivate understanding rather than compliance? Words as symbols and subconscious anchors. When we use metaphors such as the shepherd guiding the sheep, what are we implicitly asking of our audience? Do these images link vulnerability to appeal, dependence to devotion? And if so, could we clarify whether we are fostering autonomy or conditioning reliance? Similarly, homophones like pray and pray illustrate how sound can carry overlapping symbolic weight. How might these overlaps influence people's emotions or behavior before conscious reflection occurs? Observing these patterns may reveal subtle ways that language guides thought, offering an opportunity to engage with symbols consciously rather than absorb them passively. Could we approach words not just as conveyors of meaning, but as invitations to explore the connections they create? What might happen if every metaphor, image, or sound were examined for its potential impact on the listener's perception and agency? Ethical possibilities for communicators. A leader or teacher seeking to cultivate reflective engagement might consider adopting these practices. 1. Exploring the history and DNA of the words they use, noticing how meaning evolves across contexts and time. 2. Making metaphors transparent so that the audience can perceive the assumptions and symbolic connections embedded within them. 3. Creating spaces where questions are not only allowed, but prioritized above declarations. How might these possibilities shift the dynamic between speaker and listener? Could they transform authority into guidance and instruction into collaboration? Learning, inquiry, and institutional structures. What happens to a mind when questioning is discouraged? Often, understanding shifts from active reflection to passive internalization. Could uncertainty be reframed as a shared tool for discovery rather than a threat to order or authority? In schools, churches, and other institutions, we might ask, how can environments nurture inquiry without destabilizing trust or cohesion? How can learners and followers participate in meaning-making rather than merely absorb content? Could embracing dialogue and reflection cultivate resilience and adaptive understanding across generations? Alignment with natural principles. Life is inherently unpredictable. If we resist its uncertainties, do we generate friction, stress, or unintended consequences? Could embracing unpredictability, not as chaos, but as a feature of existence, allow individuals and communities to navigate complexity with greater awareness and grace? Language, like life, can be approached as a flow. If words are tools, might we use them to teach attunement to uncertainty rather than enforce rigid structures? How might conversations, teachings, and relationships change if unpredictability were treated as an opportunity for insight rather than a threat to control? Practical reflections. Leadership and education. In what ways might leaders create spaces where questions flow like streams, carrying insights rather than bottling authority? How could teaching be framed not as instruction, but as tending a garden, where curiosity, reflection, and dialogue are cultivated. Societal communication. In what ways might transparency act as a release valve for the pressures of unexamined authority? Could clarity, metaphor, and open dialogue allow communities to breathe, adapt, and co-create meaning rather than internalize unquestioned narratives? Individual practice. If each word is a seed, what kind of awareness are we planting in the soil of our shared understanding? How might we nurture the growth of reflection, discernment, and engagement in ourselves and others so that language becomes a living system rather than a set of imposed rules? Through these reflections, language becomes an instrument of shared cultivation, shaping perception, choice, and engagement in ways that honor agency, curiosity, and adaptive understanding.